Nice. That's one of them new Ben Franklins you count there, baby Bob.
You don't stop.
Gotta get that money, the whole bunch.
You don't stop.
Oh man, this is how we do it. East, West.
What up, people? I'm back. It's another episode of M5verick Mentality in collaboration with UFO Podcast. So today we're going to talk about how good men maintain relationships. And for those who have never, I'm sorry, I had to laugh, but for those who are women or men too, it's all good. For those who have never been with a good man, you may be saying like, what the hell? Like, why do good men need advice on how to maintain a relationship? Trust me. Just wait. Okay. So a lot of things that, or in a lot of cases, what good men run into with relationships, and I've definitely been this guy in the past. I'm not tooting my own horn or anything, but I do consider myself to be, for the most part, overall, I'm pretty good to women, right? So what happens is that most women, are not used to dealing with a man of a certain level of integrity, who's legacy minded and who cares about, the energy he puts into the world. So most women are not really used to dealing with good men. So a lot of women tend to kind of operate on autopilot when they deal with men, which creates a lot of turbulence and a lot of disagreement and a lot of deception and all of that bullshit, right? That turns into a breakup or cheating or whatever, the case may be, depending on the details. So what a lot of good men are missing, from maintaining a healthy relationship, and this will really help them, because I think that women need it. Excuse me. I think women need it, and they desire it from men, but of course a woman doesn't necessarily know how to communicate that, especially if she has very few reps dealing with decent men. And I think good men need it, because a lot of good men fall into the head space or whirlwind of emotions of, I'm doing everything right, why is this shit fucking up, right? So there's two broad reasons, and then for that second reason, we're going to break it down into 5 parts, right? So bear with me here. I'm trying to make this quick. So what good men tend to do is that a lot of good men, and I don't have data on this, y'all know I'm not a data metric scientific person. I'm just speaking from experience and an intuitive nature based on, how I've seen things go down. But a lot of good men have either been raised by their mothers primarily. And if when you're raised by your mother, you're groomed a certain way to be, for the most part, loving, nurturing, and caring, regardless of what form that takes. It may have been a mama's boy situation. It may have been you were the only man or male in the house and you had to kind of step up and feel like you were like this pseudo father figure, to your siblings, or this kind of, like, as nasty as it may sound, this like pseudo husband, or false husband to like your mother to protect her because you were the only man around or whatever. So what that usually creates is a good man who wants to protect and do all these things for his woman, but he's been groomed by women and not really given the full truthful story from a man's perspective and a man's way of doing things. He's been taught from a woman's perspective or a woman's way of doing things, which clashes when it comes from a man, because there's a difference between men women dynamic and a woman to woman dynamic, and a lot of men have a woman or feminine like dynamic. And when I say feminine, I don't mean soft or fruity or nothing like that, just of a very a very a very, I guess, like, crowded way of dealing with women. So what I mean by that is, when you think about everybody's favorite example of characters from the Disney Channel, right? And how there's this Prince Charming and he's saying all this nice shit and he's buying all these gifts and he wins over the princess, and he's just nice all the time and he's just always up under her, and y'all are supposed to be hand in hand all the time, right? And we forget that that movie only lasts about 45 minutes. Like, they don't show us the entire life process and how at some point the woman gets bored and she gets tired of that shit and she needs the spark to stay alive. So a lot of good men fall into this trap of trying to be a whole lot of things all the time, all at once, and stressing themselves out, only to find out that the woman don't even really want that shit long term. It was just only nice in the honeymoon phase, which is what a lot of mass media shows us is the honeymoon phase. Okay. So the number one thing that good men have to do is learn how to create healthy mystery, right? So what a lot of good men will do is they're sending good morning texts, they're calling multiple times a day. They're constantly checking up on their woman to see what she's doing. They're trying to run chores and do errands and all of that bullshit, either for her or with her. And a lot of men lose sight that your woman is a fully functioning adult. And yes, it's fine to be attentive. It's fine to, show compassion in the relationship and be invested. All of those things are wonderful. But there's a certain amount of healthy mystery and distance that needs to take place. And a lot of that happens by men just simply doing what the fuck they supposed to be doing anyway, which is, being focused on their earning potential, being focused on their purpose in life, being focused on giving back to the community in whichever way or shape form that is. Um, and then, maintaining their health, making sure that they're working out, keeping their body up, inside and out, those things as well. So that way you kind of build in some respect for your time, energy, and money when you're dealing with the woman that you're dating or you're married to, etc. That's the number one way. And of course those details look different, but most good men, just as I mentioned before, they crowd their woman. They have like this crowded or this crowding version of love where you're just kind of smothering, let me say smothering is better, where you just kind of smother your woman to the point of where she's not excited about you anymore. She's not attracted to you anymore. She doesn't feel the spark anymore. Her eyes are wandering. She's answering DMs. Her phone's on do not disturb. Goofy shit starts to happen because, quite frankly, that's just what women do. You can't change it. Stay in the gym. All right. So that leads me into my next point where women need a constant, consistent, flowing life of chaos, right? And chaos doesn't mean fuckboy energy or, doing bullshit or slapping her around or treating her poorly. It just means that women can't be and don't desire to be consistent for too long. Okay. And consistency is definitely a part of the process, but a lot of the consistency stems from being consistently inconsistent, creating that chaos. But we're going to talk about, for my guys, we're going to talk about how to control the chaos so that women don't try to create chaos and then it's all fucked up. And then, she's all checked out and, trying to move on and doing goofy shit. Okay. So women need consistent chaos in a relationship. So, when we talk about chaos, again, this is from a positive frame. All right. So how we create chaos first is first by being considerate. So we're going to break this down into 5 C's. So the first C is consideration. So consideration just simply means that you are considerate of yourself first, your value system first, what you bring to the table, and how you bring it to the table. And I think that's important for both men and women to be considerate of, because sometimes you're bringing something to the table or you are doing or accomplishing a certain thing in the relationship, but your style, right? And how you do it based on who you are really tells the story and paints the picture for compatibility. It's another C. All right. So we have to really make sure that we're being considerate of ourselves, full spectrum, and then being able to, really look at our partner and be considerate of them, full spectrum, to know if, compatibility can even exist. So as we move to the next C, we're looking at communication. So communication is a big one, and it's a huge topic, especially in the modern relationship, to where a lot of communication is done via phone, through text, social media, etc. So we have to, at some point in our intimate relationships, get away from that and have fluid, candid, at some point, even harsh conversations about what it is you two want, what it is you're bringing to the table, how you want that to happen, and then start to have those relationship check-ins, as I like to call them, and they can happen on a bi-weekly basis, monthly basis, whatever. Like, again, all the details will be dependent on the individuals themselves, but men in particular need to take the lead in initiating this communication. So first off, good men have to stop being blindsided by bullshit, because if we don't initiate those things with women, they'll blindside us with bullshit and just assume we were supposed to know or read between the lines. And we have to know and understand women have more of a passive style of communication and more of a silver lining packaging within their communication that a lot of men, especially highly masculine men, don't really have. We're just more direct in that way. So let's go ahead and continue to exercise that directness by having direct communication and initiating those conversations with women, just to ask them how they're feeling, how they feel about how things are going, if there's anything we can work on. And then two, you don't want that conversation to become stagnant either. So sometimes you need to come to the table with fresh questions to ask them, and maybe like some brain teasers or like a game, just to kind of see, like, again, not only what they think, but how they think, right? Because based on how they think and how they operate and how they move in the world and how they say things and package things will shed better light into who you're dealing with. So you'll be able to also, bonus, pick up on any red flags that she may not even know or realize. Or if you're dealing with a deceptive woman, I hope not, but if you are, you'll kind of connect the dots and be like, wait a minute, like that shit don't make sense. Because when we had this similar conversation last time, you had a completely different story or completely different perspective. So there's a lack of inconsistency or character there, right? So this is why men need to initiate more consistent, routine communication about each other and the relationship itself, so that the woman can never have the room or grounds to initiate any bullshit or claim she doesn't know where the fuck is going, or any other goofy shit that she may try to say. All right. Number three, after you communicate, is that you have to be very clear and provide clarity on what the plan is for you guys moving forward. And that's not always a sit down and type up some type of Excel sheet. That's not what I mean when I say plan, but just always ensuring that you both are on the same page, in order to let her know that, hey, if we're not on the same page, as a man who values himself and who has high worth, especially high self-worth, is that you're willing to walk away, because it's healthy not only for you as a man, but also for the relationship and for her. Because what you don't want to do is be compromised in a relationship where the woman gets to jump in and out of her emotions or in and out of the relationship and be inconsistent and turbulent, while you have to constantly pick up the pieces, right? And I'm speaking to what many good men go through, right? So you want to make sure that you're being considerate, you're initiating communication, the second C, and that within that communication, you're always providing clarity. And that clarity is on a daily basis, a routine basis. So if you have a conversation, something slips that you guys agreed on, you go right back to the second C and you communicate that again. Like, hey, we talked. I asked you not to do this. I told you how that makes me feel. I feel like, that's disrespectful, or that you're showing, disrespect or discontent in this manner, right? And then you address it, and you address it all the time. And if she finds that to be like, oh, you're acting like a dad, or you're acting like old man or some shit, well, then, that right there sheds light that she's not ready for a mature man who values his time, energy, his legacy, his life, none of that shit. She wants somebody who's just bullshit. And if you're a good guy, you don't have time for the bullshit. So always provide clarity. And if she don't like the clarity, she can get the fuck out. It's cool. No hard feelings. All good. All right. Within that clarity, we can move to the next C, which is collaboration. So we want healthy collaboration. So healthy collaboration doesn't mean you guys are doing the same thing in the relationship. It doesn't mean that you own her in the relationship either. It doesn't mean that you're telling her what to do. It just means that, once again, as we spoke on clarity, you guys are very clear on what you do bring to the table and what your roles and responsibilities are in the relationship as it relates to who you are and how you like to do stuff. For me, for example, I don't necessarily value, a woman who's cooking and cleaning all the time. I'd rather her be on her purpose so that she can bring clean energy home, and also have her own money and have her own purpose in life, so she's not looking at me like I'm holding her back. But what I do value are things like communication. I value things like her telling the truth about how she's feeling at all times and not holding no shit back, because I don't like bullshit gray area, right? I value a woman who knows exactly what she wants out of life, even if she doesn't know how to get there, because I can work with her on that and I can provide strategy and we can have those talks and we can connect and bond in that way. And a woman who likes to explore herself spiritually, you know what I'm saying? Whereas another man, another relationship with a woman, he may value that woman providing collaboration in the relationship by cooking and cleaning and being home by a certain time and all that type of stuff. And both sides are beautiful, but again, you have to be very clear through your communication and consideration as to how you guys collaborate together. And that's the fourth piece of that. And then the fifth piece, which is the hardest piece, because at some point when you reach the end of the road, right? Or when you reach the end of a cycle, you're going to have to recycle, okay, and then start the process over again to maintain that healthy amount of chaos in the relationship, okay? But the fifth part and the fifth C is consistency. So at some point, you're going to reach a level of consistency where you're considerate, you've communicated, there's clarity, the collaboration is nice, and then now you guys are kind of in flow. But at some point, just like any other job or duty or responsibility in life, things get stagnant or things need to be refreshed or updated. And then that's when you recycle and repeat. And you go back to consideration in regards to how things may have changed, what new development we have, what new feelings have been brought to the table or have emerged. And then you just keep moving. And then at that point, good men, again, if you're with the right woman, who wants to participate in this type of system, your relationship should be able to last, and you should be able to save your relationship early on if you're experiencing some, little bullshit here and there, or you guys have like little, punk ass falling outs, every so often for no good reason. So this can help you kind of put your little program together, right? Your little masculine program together, so you can figure out how to kind of draw her in and make her commit to you a little bit better. So I hope this helps good men. See y'all later. Peace.
Nice. That's one of them new Ben Franklins you count.